Hello and welcome back to the Unboxable Unstoppable podcast with me, Elena Turley. I am the founder of the Soul Mama Hub and also the newly created Soul Mama Academy. We invite you to weave your dreams with confidence with our signature program, the Lion Life Roadmap. It offers a comprehensive monthly membership for mothers who are based at home. It's ideally placed to serve women craving monthly support in the form of workshops, group coaching, transformative interactive sessions, community and real-time events. So I'm very excited to be here talking to you again. It's International Podcast Week. How exciting is that? I mean, my goodness, International Podcast Week. That sounds super fun, doesn't it? I'll be honest, it's not the easiest thing to talk about what's really going on for us. I think us women and mothers, I'm going to speak for everybody, generalise wildly here. We are very good at keeping things to ourselves and not taking up space and doing the best we can to hold all the balls in the air that we have and being graceful and sucking up our issues about that and just doing whatever we can basically to quietly get on with it. That's certainly in the culture that I come from that was looked upon favourably, and there's a cost for that, I feel. Yes, sometimes certainly we have to get on with things and we aren't able to indulge our feelings is the old cliche, isn't it? Don't be a hysterical woman, don't be too emotional, don't, all those things and all these expectations that are kind of coded into the way that we do things. And it's quite dangerous, that coding sometimes. I certainly think that it can become the foundation of mental health issues. It can become the foundation of some very unhealthy habits of self-sacrifice and self-sabotage. And it's certainly one of the things that I work against and work towards eliminating in the academy that I'm setting up. So one of the main missions that I have is to help women really come into their being and their power without being, horribly self-indulgent and over-emotional. That's not the point. The point is that we find a way of mastering our lives and ourselves where we feel 100% fulfilled and we also are fulfilling our obligations to our family and our work. And there is a way to do that. And I know because I'm working it out as I go. And I'm not perfect. My God, I'm so far from perfect at doing this, but I am getting a little better at it. And the way that I'm doing that is by understanding there are certain things we can do to really put ourselves on the list. Now, one of the things when I say putting ourselves on the list, what that means is, we all have this thing, the mental load. We talk about our mental load. We talk about the way that we carry a list. And this week for me, for example, there's been this list like, there's the vet that I've got to take the dog to, and there's the play dates that I've got to organise for my child. And there's, and this is not even in school time, like we're in school holidays lockdown at the moment, but there's still like 100,000 things on my mind, on top of the business I'm creating, on top of the things I'm doing for my husband's birthday, on top of all of the, the minutiae every day, like the dinner, the lunch, the morning tea, the afternoon tea, the sweeping the floor, the tidying my room, the having a shower, going for a run. There's a million things, right? And one way to handle that is to write the list. But for me, writing the list actually just creates more lists and I get overwhelmed by those because I don't get through them. So what's the solution? Well, for me, the solution is to prioritize the things that really nourish me. That's the first thing to do. And the second thing to do is to let go of the responsibility for a lot of those things because you can only do so many things in a day. So one way that I do it is I actually allocate time for certain things and then I feel like, okay, it's going to be handled in those times and I block out the calendar. I've talked about that before, using a calendar rather than a to-do list. For me, that works better. If I have to write lists, I still do, but I try not to look at them all the time because they just overwhelm me. I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but that's kind of what happens for me. So you got to find the perfect way for you. You got to find what works for you. But for me, it's very much about understanding that, yes, I'm going to get to those moments where I lose it, where I lose my shit. And like I did that this morning. I got really upset. And that was my body and my heart telling me something needs my attention. And I haven't exactly worked it out yet. And I kind of wanted to talk to you in the middle of that uncertainty because I feel like that is a moment that we understand, that a lot of women understand. And I want you to know that a lot of women and mothers around the world experience this. that we feel overwhelmed. I'm also at this point where my hormones are a little bit haywire. I know that I need to look at my endocrine system. I know that I have to eat a little bit better, have to eat some nourishing food, some fresh food, some vegetables every day, not alcohol, not too much sugar, not, and some of those things I've been having a bit more regularly because we've been in lockdown. So it's that kind of, okay, I've got to correct a little bit. I've got to balance it out a little bit. I know balance is a bit of a elusive thing that but I'm just talking about making small corrections, course corrections, so that I can feel a little better. And I had this big wake up this morning because I felt really, really overwhelmed and upset and kind of angry, And I think a huge thing is that instead of swallowing that or suppressing it, I came clean about it. I'm fortunate I have a really good listener for a husband, and he can, as long as I don't go too nuts, he can actually sit there and hear me. He tries to fix, but he's also learned that it's best not to try and fix things when I'm venting, So he's a really good listener now. He knows that this is the way I work things out. And I've told him that, sometimes I just need to say it out loud and hear myself saying it out loud. So this morning I've realised that because of the lockdown and because of we've had some 2 weeks isolation, I'm starting this business, there's so much going on that I've understood this morning that I'm emotionally feeling it. I'm feeling doubtful. I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of things in my mind floating around. So that's when I go, okay, I need to anchor. So there hasn't been some of the things I do to anchor, I haven't been able to do, like training martial arts lately. So that's been really interesting because I've had to find other anchors. So one of my anchors is sharing my story and serving you, serving the listeners of this podcast and serving the people who read my blogs and on social media. And by being honest and serving, that takes me into a different energy. It takes me into an energy where I feel connected to a bunch of other people going through similar things. And I also understand that I am working towards something greater than me. And that is another reason that the Academy works for women that are in my academy, because we feel that connection. We feel the ability to come together and work for something greater than ourselves. And that is a human need. That's actually something we need to feel and understand in our souls and in our hearts, that we are part of something bigger. And we're kind of hardwired that way. It's neurological. So serving that is a great, I feel incredibly grateful to be able to do this podcast and do this work that I do with the women in the Soul Mama Academy, because it allows me to fulfill that great mission to help others overcome trauma, to help others become bigger, greater people in their lives, and to help others also create that for their children and allow their children to be who they are and build a different future as a result. That's my mission. And this week I've been listening to this trauma summit with the amazing Gabor Mate, and I realised again that, so many of us and so much of what's going on at the moment in the world is people playing out their trauma. And it's world leaders as well. It's not just you and I. It's everybody plays out their trauma in their lives until they heal it. That's what we do. And the only way we can really understand each other through this and how we are playing out the trauma is to talk about it and to talk about this healing and seek that healing and seek that greater service that we all need. And I really honestly believe that a lot of the nefarious kind of ideas that are floating around at the moment are a result of generational and cultural trauma. We've had generations of people that have been carrying damage from world wars, from previous histories, from genetic and cultural. There's this thing, epigenetics, which I talk about, where we carry trauma in our cells from our previous generations. Unless we understand that and unless we treat it as the very important message that it is about how important it is for us to come together as human beings and understand each other, be compassionate, be empathic, empathetic, and really actually connect to each other's truths, that's a massive opportunity at the moment. We have so many avenues to do that. We have the internet, we have platforms like Soul Mama Academy, we have podcasts, we have ways to talk and listen and converse with each other with love. We've never had that before. So it's an incredible opportunity. And I choose to focus on the opportunity that is, on the positive narrative. I can acknowledge there's a lot of crazy ideas floating around at the moment. and they're very scary. And I understand. I really understand if you have trauma, if you've had trauma in the past, if you've had negative experiences with authority, with government, with people in places, positions of trust. Of course, you are going to struggle to trust the media. You're going to struggle to trust politicians. You're going to struggle to find a positive narrative. That's natural. I get it. And I have been having conversations with friends of mine who feel compelled to further conspiracy theory or further nefarious ideas. And I'm going to come clean right now and say, it's okay with me. Like, if you need to process information in that way, that's okay with me. I don't judge you for that in any way. And I would ask you not to judge me for having a different perspective. And I think that's really important, that we come together and understand each other. It's really important that we don't polarize and that we live in a way that allows difference and allows not just tolerance of difference, embracing difference. And I'm getting a bit preachy now, I don't mean to. But this is all part of, I think, the reason I fell apart a bit this morning is that I have been seeing a lot of really difficult things floating around in the media, online, in social media, where there's a lot of anger and hatred and upset. And I feel that, I feel sad about that. And I want to be allies for those that are willing to seek healing and build understanding and build conversation and listen to each other in the best possible way that we can. It's really important, and I'll do whatever I can to further that. And I really believe that the only way we can do more of that is if we heal ourselves and we feel supported ourselves and we can get out of our own way and come back to our humanity. So that's the kind of work that I'm doing right now. And that's why I'll be launching the Soul Mama Academy in a couple of weeks. And that's why I encourage you to join this conversation with me and look at the way that you can pursue these ethical principles, these principles of inclusion, these principles of interacting with people, no matter how different. In permaculture, we talk about how it's on the edges that all the good stuff happens. It's on the edge of the lawn that the grass grows greenest. There's reasons for that. We need the edges. That's where all the exciting ideas happen. And we need our own edges. We need to be okay with existing on our growing edge, on the part of us that is less comfortable and that is breaking new ground. It's challenging. That's what I'm doing right now in building this business. I'm taking a stand for what I believe and putting it out there. And it's really, really scary, I've got to say. I'm doing it anyway because I believe in walking alongside your fear and going out and doing it anyway. But oh my gosh, it's big. And I'm feeling that today. I'm feeling like this is a huge idea and it's vulnerable and it's exposing. Getting out there, visible, talking about this with you now in this podcast is making my heart visible. I'm wearing my heart on the outside of my body and it's huge, And that's what we do. Artists do it and storytellers do it. And that's what I'm doing with this work that I'm doing with the Soul Mama Academy. So please come and check it out, soulmamaacademy.com, soulmamaacademy.com. The link should be wherever you're listening to this podcast as well. I'll wrap it up there. I really hope to see you. I'm running a free workshop soon, so I really hope to see you there. Come and check it out. And I'm sending huge amounts of love out to the world at the moment. I'm feeling like this is a really exciting time for us to recreate the way we interact with each other and the way we share our stories and tell our stories and listen to other people's stories with open hearts and open minds. So stay open if you can. And if not, I really hope you can find the support you need. And I'm here to support those of you ready to make transformations. I'm here and I'm ready to do it with you. So come in, share this around, give it to someone who you feel needs to hear it, and sending loads of love. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.